Okay guys, today we are going to work on moon phases. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different moon phases. What we're going to do is color these circles in, and these circles are going to represent what the moon looks like from Earth during that particular phase, and then we're also going to learn the names of all 8 moon phases. So first, we're going to label this circle right here, and this is representing the moon revolving around something, and so that we know that something is the Earth. So I want to go ahead and label that just to make sure that we remember this right here is Earth. So we have the Earth, we have the moon, but we know that the moon is actually a rock. It doesn't give off its own light, so we need to add the light source. So over here in this empty area, I'm going to draw a half circle, nice and big, to remind us that this is the sun. And we know that the sun gives off light in all directions, which is what allows us to be able to see this light from the sun reflected off the moon. So, the very first one we're going to start with is right here. Whenever the sun, moon, and earth line up in this order, this is the beginning of our moon phases. This moon from Earth is going to be completely dark. We're not going to be able to see any piece of this moon because it's standing, or it's in between us and the sun. So all of the sun's light is going to go around the moon, and it's going to make it seem completely dark. So we won't be able to see the moon during this phase. And because it's the beginning of the cycle, we call this a new moon. So, completely dark moon, not able to be seen from Earth. This is a new moon. Then we know that we rotate, or we revolve, counterclockwise. So we're going to move this way. Now, something I want you to keep in mind is that this diagram in particular has the sun on the left. Your other diagrams may have the sun on the right. So we'll just have to keep in mind that we always start with the new moon in between the sun and the earth, and we go counterclockwise. So after a new moon, we start getting light on the right side of the moon. Now remember, we're drawing these as if we are on Earth and can actually see the moon. So we have the sunlight coming in this way. So from right here, if we can't see anything, whenever we start going this way, light's going to come in from this side on the right. So how it's going to look from Earth is you're just going to have a little crescent of light on the right side. Sorry, let me get that straightened out. So then most of the moon is dark still, but you have this little sliver of light on the right side. Doesn't have to be perfect, just trying to get the idea that most of this is dark except for this little sliver over here on the right. So because the moon has light on the right side, or it's almost like if you think of the moon as a light bulb, here it's completely off. Our goal is to get it to a full moon and then back off again. So here, if we're going from completely dark and we're trying to get to a full moon, you're going to gradually have more and more light on the right side. The moon turning on or gaining light is what we call waxing. And then we use the shape of the lit spot of the moon, and so this is a waxing crescent moon. A waxing crescent moon. Then again, we're rotating counterclockwise. So now if we look at this part, the moon was here with the earth. It's gone a little bit this way, so we're getting light on the right side. Now it's made a 90-degree turn, so we're going to end up getting light on the entire right side. So this the whole left side is still dark. So this one is a pretty easy name. It is a half moon. However, we're now 1/4 of the way through our moon cycle. So this is called the first quarter half moon. And you do need to be able to tell the difference between the first quarter and the third quarter moon. So this is a first quarter half moon. So if you identify this picture as a half moon, you're half right, but we need to make sure that we understand this is the first quarter because the light is on the right side. This is still a waxing moon, the light's on the right. So this is our first quarter half moon. So we're 1/4 of the way through our phases. Now remember we said that our goal is to get from a completely dark moon to a completely light moon and then back to dark again. So our waxing crescent has a little bit of light on the right. Then as you continue revolving, now we're halfway lit on the right. So hopefully we're able to see a pattern, and we're going to know now that we're going to be mostly lit on the right side. So we're actually only going to have a little bit of darkness on this moon. There's still just a little bit of shadow. We're still working on getting the moon all the way lit up. So we are still a waxing moon. The light's on the right, that's a waxing moon. And then the name that we have for moons that are almost all the way lit up is gibbous. Gibbous. This is a waxing gibbous moon. Waxing gibbous. So, again, I hope that we're seeing a pattern. We start completely dark. We go to waxing crescent with a little bit of light on the right. Then we're halfway lit on the right with our first quarter half moon. Then we're still working on getting all the way lit, so we're still a waxing gibbous moon. Now we're mostly lit on the right side. Then the complete opposite of a new moon, and this is what we've been working towards on this side, is we don't have to shade anything on this circle right here. This is a completely lit up moon where we can see the entire face of the moon, and we call this a full moon, which makes sense. It is full of light. It's a full moon. We can see the entire face of the moon during a full moon. So here's a little trick I want you guys to remember. From new to full, so from totally dark to totally light, that is waxing. So we're going to give ourselves a little hint up here, and I want you to think wax on. Wax on. So if the moon is turning on, that light is trying to turn all the way on. It's going to be on the right side. We are waxing. So now we're halfway through our phases. We've gone from a new moon to a waxing crescent, first quarter half moon, waxing gibbous, to a full moon. So this side, the moon was lit on the right side. As we go back from a full moon to a new moon, it's actually going to shift, and our lit side of the moon is going to be on the left. So after we have our full moon, now we're going to have this little shadow on the right side. So now that our light has switched, and now the lit side is going to be on the left, we're no longer waxing. Once you hit the full moon point, waxing is over. Now the moon's going back to being completely dark, and we call these phases waning. And again, this moon phase looks almost like this moon phase. The light's just on the opposite side. But because they're still mostly lit, we're going to use the same word as we did down here. So the waxing gibbous has light on the right, then a full moon. Then you're going to go to a waning gibbous because it is still mostly lit. So whenever we're giving these moon phases names, the names are going to refer to the lit part. A lot of people want to look at this and call this a crescent, but that crescent shape is the shadow. We don't want to describe the shadow, we want to describe the actual moon that we can see from Earth. So this is going to be a waning gibbous. So now we're completely opposite of the first quarter half moon. So, just like these are opposites, totally dark, totally light, our first quarter half moon, we're now going to be at our third quarter half moon. But remember, since we're waning, the light's going to be on the left side. So now our shaded area is on the right. I should have used a marker. That would be a lot faster. It's okay. So, this is a half moon again, but you can't just identify it as a half moon. That's only half right. We have to make sure we know the light's on the left. This is waning. So that's third quarter half moon. Oh, wrote too big. Okay. Third quarter half moon. We're almost done. So, new moon is completely dark because it's a straight line. Then we wax on to the full moon. By the way, let's look at this. The sun, the earth, and the full moon. This is a straight line also, but this time the full moon's on the opposite side of the earth. That's why it's a full moon. The sunlight can come all the way around earth and fully light up the moon. Then we wane off, so we have waning gibbous, mostly lit, third quarter half moon, halfway dark. So now we have to get closer to this dark new moon. So this is going to be our waning crescent. So we're only going to have just this little crescent of light over here on the left. The rest of the moon is mostly dark. And again, the light on the moon is turning off. So we're going to use the word waning crescent. Now, we're still not done. I have a couple more details that we need to learn. So we decided that the new moon to the full moon, we're turning the light on. That was wax on. Well, now if you look, we're adding more and more shadow going from full moon to new moon, so it's like we're turning the light off. So up here with our little hint, it's wax on and wane off. So wax on, the light's on the right. Wane off, the light is on the left. Now there's one more thing I need us to make sure that we're understanding. So this entire cycle takes about 28 days. So it takes about 28 days. Sometimes it could be a little more, it could be a little less, but it's about 28 days on average. So here's something I want us to be able to do. You should be able to look at a calendar, and if you have one moon phase on that calendar, you should be able to predict when the other moon phases are going to be happening. So here's an easy way to think about it. If it's 28 days, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 of what I call the main phases. If we can at least get new moon, full moon, and then our first and third quarter drawn in a diagram, it should be pretty easy for us to fill in the blanks. So, new moon, if we're looking at a calendar, this would be day 1 of the cycle. So this is going to be day 1. 28 divided by 1, 2, 3, 4 would be 7. Meaning if we start on day 1, our first quarter half moon is going to happen around day 7. Then 28, remember, divided by 4 is 7. Day 1, day 7, which would make the full moon day 14. And then when we add 7 days again, this would be about day 21. And then 7 days later, we would be back at our new moon, and we could start the cycle over again. So, these are the most important ones for you to start out remembering. And then I am going to expect you to be able to draw any of these moon phases, and you should be able to name them.